Islamic Finance and Banking Summit. You've all traveled from different parts of the world to discuss various aspects of Islamic finance and also the measures that need to be taken to showcase the European Union as a hub for Islamic finance. I would like to introduce someone who absolutely needs no introduction in the city, Sheikh Bilal Khan, as your chairman for the day. Sheikh Bilal is the UKTI catalyst and also the business ambassador for the UK government. He's also the co-chairman of Dome Advisory and the vice chairman for Prince of Wales Trust Mosaic International Panel. He also happens to be a special advisor to the Lord Mayor of City of London. He's a Sharia scholar and an English qualified lawyer. I welcome you, Sheikh Bilal. Please.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's an absolute pleasure and a personal privilege to be invited by the organisers, IFM, and everyone else at IFM, including Basant Das, who has done a lot behind the scenes to make this event a huge success. So before I go any further, I'd actually like you all to join me in putting our hands together for putting this event together. Thank you very much. I'm going to endeavour to keep my words to very minimum because I think we have an amazing array of excellent speakers, including some of our excellencies, Lord Sheikh and Sir David Wootton, Lord Mayor of the City of London 2012, amongst other well-known speakers and panelists. I think it's a great time to put this event together, EU Islamic Finance and Banking Summit. It's an event which brings together key stakeholders from across Europe, in government and in industry. And it's personally, from my experience and the experience of many speakers here, we have a lot of countries, a lot of jurisdictions across the continent who are now really well positioned to do Islamic finance. If you look at Luxembourg, I'm not going to go into the detail because we have people here from Luxembourg who will speak about that. But Luxembourg is a country which is very serious, not only about funds, but about everything Islamic finance, including Sukuk. We have France, Paris, Strasbourg. We have Germany, Geneva, Brussels, The Hague, right across the Europe. In fact, I was looking at an email that was sent to me over the last week, and I find that even Turin in Italy, there will be an Islamic Finance Summit in the coming weeks. So it's an interesting time to be holding this event. And personally, London as a seat for this event is an excellent choice. London is rightly the hub for Islamic finance. We have regional hubs including Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, Bahrain and Dubai in the GCC, and some other regional hubs like Kazakhstan for the Central Asia. But I think the history that London has in terms of the intellectual capital, in terms of the financial capital that flows through here, including banking and insurance, London is rightly the place to be the international hub for Islamic finance. And this claim, which was announced by our Prime Minister David Cameron at the World Islamic Economic Forum last year here in the city, here in London, which was actually visited by 19 heads of states. And our Prime Minister announced that UK will issue a government sukuk, a sovereign Islamic bond, and that was just the case. This year in June 2014, the UK government, the Treasury, duly issued that bond. It was a 200 million paper, a 200 million pounds paper, but astonishingly, in the very first morning of trading and issuance, it was oversubscribed to 2.3 billion. I personally had the privilege to work on that deal through Linklaters on structuring and the drafting. We also had the privilege of working on the Luxembourg sovereign issuance as well. So it's an amazing time to be working in Islamic finance. I would also like to mention Peter Mayer here, who's from the Middle East Association, the CEO of Middle East Association, a body which has done a lot for the Middle East and also for Islamic finance. We will be hearing from Peter later on in the event. Before going any further, I would like to mention that Islamic finance, what is Islamic finance? It's an ethical alternative to conventional finance. It is something which is based on assets, real projects. And amazingly today we find that the entire ethical movement around the world, in the West, is beginning to work with the Islamic finance industry. This is a movement which believes in sharing risk and return, not just taking the return, but sharing the risk and return. If you take the example of the mutual insurance industry, and UK and Europe has a history of about 300 to 400 years in friendly societies. This is naturally Islamic. It is a bit like calling fish halal. Nobody says fish is halal. Fish is halal anyway. I look at the mutual structure of friendly societies, and aside from the asset management element, everything else is purely Islamic. So there's amazing synergies here between mutual sector, between the ethical sector and Islamic finance. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of discussions today and tomorrow about that. There will be case studies on the UK government sukuk, and I think Omar Sheikh will be speaking about the regulatory framework for Islamic finance, and many others. You have the agenda in front of you, and I personally feel the agenda has been put together brilliantly by the organisers and other key stakeholders. I would now like to introduce our first keynote speaker, and it is a personal privilege for me to be inviting him, a very good friend of mine and a great champion of Islamic finance, Sir David Wootton. Sir David Wootton is a lawyer and partner at Allen Overy, a Magic Circle law firm, which is Tier 1 in Islamic finance across the board. It is probably the only firm that is Tier 1 across all practice areas. Sir David was also the Lord Mayor of the City of London in 2012, and he's the Vice Chair of Saudi-British Joint Business Council. I'm sure he wears many other hats, and he will tell us all about that. Thank you, Sir David.
Chairman, my Lord Sheikh, Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Bilal, for that kind introduction. I'm honoured to be here, to have the opportunity to address you at the start of this important and timely summit. I'd like to congratulate the organisers on what is clearly a very well thought out, and thorough and very high level two-day session. I'd like to thank all the sponsors who made it possible, and I'd like to thank you, Bilal, for chairing it. And I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to honour the contribution which Sheikh Bilal Khan has made and continues to make personally to the development of Islamic finance, and I know that he was quite a large portion of the brain power behind the structuring of the UK sovereign sukuk, to which he has so modestly referred. He and I share another thing in common, in addition to an interest in Islamic finance, and that other thing in common is that we come from the same city in the north of England, the city of Bradford, well known for its joint strands of cultural heritage, and as you can tell from looking at us, we each represent a different strand of that heritage. Bradford comes in for a lot of bad publicity, but it's a magnificent city and a magnificent example of many cultures, two in particular, working together in harmony. These things take time, but it is going very well. When I was Lord Mayor of the City of London, I made sure that I visited the city of my birth, and I shared a number of platforms and engagements with the then Lord Mayor of the city of Bradford, who was a very capable woman of Pakistani heritage, and we got on extremely well. Congratulations to the UK government. This comes from a City of London practitioner. To the UK government for realising the importance and the potential of Islamic finance, not least most recently through being the first sovereign, non-Muslim sovereign country to issue a sukuk, as is very often the case in matters of global finance. London, the United Kingdom, takes the lead. The UK government, earlier than that, though, has been very good in adapting our laws and our regulations to make Islamic financial instruments possible and viable. In the UK budget of last year, 2013, the Chancellor of the Exchequer established a body which the civil servants call FSTIB, Financial Services Trade and Investment Board, to promote financial services across the board, you might say, and FSTIB has a number of principal lines of activity, perhaps obvious ones like insurance and asset management, but one of the key ones is Islamic finance, and together with City of London practitioners, much work is being done in that forum. The City UK, which is the City of London practitioner body to work collectively to promote financial and professional services both here and around the world, has a very active component working on Islamic finance, and this summit will be hearing twice, once today and once tomorrow, from Wayne Evans, who's a strategy advisor with the City UK and their internal lead on Islamic finance, and tomorrow from Stella Cox of DD Capital, who heads up the Islamic finance advisory group of the City UK. A very active group last week. It was in Kazakhstan, which the chairman has mentioned, for a 2-day session working with the authorities there on training elements of Islamic finance. And one of the other hats I wear, Bilal, is being co-chair of the Kazakh British Trade and Industry Council, which promotes links of a business nature between the UK and Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan is making very good progress in developing itself as an Islamic centre in its own right and in Central Asia. You've kindly mentioned my position as Vice Chair of the Saudi-British Joint Business Council, and in addition to Saudi Arabia and Kazakhstan, I have visited in the last couple of years a number of places, not least Dubai, where last October I spoke at the Global Islamic Economic Forum there. When I was Lord Mayor 2 years ago, Islamic finance formed a growing component in the term of office of the Lord Mayor Fiona Woolf, just finished. Islamic finance had become a huge component, and that trend is going to continue as the City of London, civically as through the Lord Mayor, and in business terms pays more attention, both on visits by the Lord Mayor to Muslim and indeed other countries, and in the number of visits of important delegations, whether it's Malaysian, investment funds seeking to come to London, or Indonesian, or the GCC countries, or other countries that are interested. You can tell, therefore, that much work is being done in this sector, and it all reflects the growing appreciation in Western countries, led by the United Kingdom, I believe, of the value to business and to society of the concepts and principles underlying Islamic finance. Bilal, you rightly use the word ethical. The concepts of risk sharing, that word sharing, of collaboration, of partnership, of reliance and concentration on real assets, not artificial non-assets. In the West, if you like, it's a sort of equity type concept rather than the confrontational elements of a debt concept. And as I say, the value of that is being appreciated all the more as time goes by. I've enjoyed reading about the exciting programme for the next couple of days. Particularly interested in the session on whether Islamic finance can work for all faiths, to which the answer is yes. Whether the financial crisis of 2008-9 would have been different had Islamic finance and its principles played a more prominent role, and how Islamic finance can be moved into the mainstream, so that, whereas, as you rightly say, Bilal, at the moment in the West, Islamic finance is an alternative to the mainstream. What we will be discussing in the summit is how it can be moved into the mainstream, so it's regarded as at least equal first choice rather than an alternative. You used a very good phrase, Bilal. It's an amazing time to be working in Islamic finance, and I'm enjoying my involvement in it. There is value in all this for business, there is value in all this for the community, for society, and there is value in this summit. I'm delighted to be here, and I wish you all a successful 2 days. Thank you very much.